What the hell are you doing? I thought you said you were just gonna hit and run this. I don't know. Maybe I was feeling generous. Interesting though, the Halloween issue came out in September, and this is the November December issue, which came out in October. I I guess it doesn't have to make sense. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. They want to make the most sales. You want to release it before Halloween, right? Um, Going to the of course, the editorial here. They talk about the thing, right? In all caps. Right? Apparently, Andre got sick with something, right? Right? And thanks to that thing, right, everything was fine. Um, the emotional toll, right? You could have got someone sick. No, that's never happened before. Right? I'm not trying to be insensitive here. I'm looking at this from a bigger perspective. Right? And this film, I had seen this film before mentioned. I thought this film was literally about that thing. Right? But it does have a supernatural entity in the backdrop of it. So okay, so it wasn't, I mean, the good people, right? The people on the right side of history, they really fear this thing, right? Whereas us, the other, which is us bad people, we see that the machinations and the things to fear were done by humans, by mankind, by governments and institutions, okay? Which is now, and I keep saying that, the idea of conspiracies, right? And the idea of man institutions being the problem was a horror staple for a while. The George Romero from The Crazies, which I saw recently again, is an epitome of that, and then the remake of that was cool. It used to be a huge part of horror, and in the last 3 years, literally, this has disappeared. Okay? The villains are the people that deny what's going on is there, and of course conspiracy theories, conspiracies which were a part of horror, now are seemingly gone. Okay? These institutions that she mentions here, right? As humanity will persevere. A very small amount of humanity will persevere at the backs of the rest of us. Right? The glimmer of my old activist optimism must be crumbling as social institutions that no longer serve us, may lead to some much needed reappraisal and rebuilding. Right? Really, the delusion that these institutions were ever served us or were ever there in the first place to serve us. Now, I could jump on that to see all the leftists doing that. But that is also the opinion of your conservatives. Okay. That these institutions are there to serve you when they've always been there just to serve you up on a platter. And to use you as fodder. I mean, this is a matrix going back thousands of years. But we all know what the old, I had said on Rorschach's channel, the old paradigms of left and right are kind of stupid, meaningless now. And the terms going back to 1789, and we're still on those terms. When the rules have changed many times since then. But regardless, it's interesting to see that this 3 years old, this is still issue. Go here to the letters. Right? I crossed the name out so no one feels, everyone feels safe. Right? The mental health and horror documentary. Help process your nightmares and fears. Well, they sublimate the fear of death and other things. I mean, that's Schiller mentioned that about the Greek tragedies. Write senior thesis. Okay. Horror films create an unlikely space in which women emerge as active agents, push back on male dominance and patriarchy in surprising ways. Post Me Too horror and power. Help society cope with the world we live in. Uh, Horror. That's not what I keep saying. That's not what horror is. That's what horror is. Okay. Now the horror that's gonna be cut. That's gonna be forged by this humanism, as you'd say. The horrors that are being wrought by this are to come. But uh, yeah, going through here. This is that film. What is that? It's funny here. Apparently, in the film, there is a supernatural entity to people coming from Binghamton to go down to Queens, New York. Have you ever been to Binghamton? One of the bleak upstate cities, of which there are many. You have there's a brief anti-masking neighbor. Hope she gets hers. It doesn't get political. Briefly seen character, the neighbor, political side, right? So the director of this film seemed actually kind of relatively even-handed. They get a weird little phrasing here. And he allowed himself that much. We're all feeling it at this point. No matter where on the spectrum we are. Okay, so this guy even gives the possibility that you can be on a different spectrum and not be totally evil. So that's a plus right there for this director. I guess that's him. Right? That aside, it's just like this guy. I remember this movie, Yellow Brick Road. This was actually good. I remember this. 2007 or 2005, the Sci-Fi Channel used to be awesome. They used to show a lot of horror movies, like these newer indie horror movies or whatever. They used to show them on Saturdays usually. And I remember Yellow Brick Road. I remember Jug with Larry Fessenden. I remember a couple. Was it Grave something? There was one set in Spain with some like old medieval game that was causing people to die horrible deaths. There was one in the Suicide Forest. I don't even remember the names of these movies, but I remember there was some really good movies in that time. And apparently Yellow Brick Road, which is a really weird movie. Eggers, there's Robert Eggers. Apparently he worked on that back in 2010. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting because I actually thought that was good. So this director, I thought this was just going to be a movie about The Thing. But there is a creature in it, a supernatural creature, and he did this. So I thought, all right, that was interesting. So writing it out, just going through here. Terror Train. This is a great movie, man. Of course, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, but this is a really good atmospheric movie. Right? The funny thing though about reading this is if you remember who the killer is. It's always I like how the killer would take different masks and be hidden, but throughout the movie you actually see the killer. He's the assistant to that David Copperfield asshole, if you remember him. But the assistant to David Copperfield was a female, right? And the character was a male. So it's interesting they don't mention that in the context of what is today. Now, obviously, this character was a master of disguise. But in the context of now, do you think that this would be mentioned or mentioned at least as a negative? I recently saw Dress to Kill again, and it's very interesting seeing that in some ways. You could make it now, and there's a lot of talk about it. But if you actually watch that film, the idea of the process of transformation. Right? It's never said in the film that this is not something that is not a normal or a thing that is done. The character doing the problem was he was too masculine. I thought that was an interesting little subversion even back then in that film. So, and the other thing about Dress to Kill, and I know I'm going on a segue here, but the scene on the subway, the actual threat that the woman character faced is the one that most women will face now, then, and in the years to come. I won't mention who the antagonists in that are, But just if you watch that film, you know what I'm talking about, and you don't have to worry about you know slashers who are in a different gender guys. For the most part, you're gonna have to deal with those. You have to worry about those other people on the sub. I just that was funny. I had forgotten that scene. That, if anything, should be even more controversial. But whatever. Getting off the. I don't really got much more to go here. So this will. I know I keep saying this will be the last time I do this, but I figured it was Halloween season. I would have fun with it one last time. But it's not really fun. I sound kind of tired. I am kind of tired actually. There's this California Gothic. I keep mentioning that, obviously New England, New Orleans, Florida is a huge, creepy, atmospheric horror state. But then you have California, and of course California, amongst other things, declining, once great, almost country in and of itself, now going down. Of course, where all these films were made, right? Decadence sort of started there. All your young people today sound like they're from California. But I like reading the Messiah of Evil. What a great friggin' movie that is. You go here. That's so funny. The state's history of genocide. Of course, Manson and all this. But it's kind of it might be an interesting book to read about California, the sunny place, which may have been along with my hometown, the twin destroyers of whatever this rock I was born on is. I still don't even know what this place America is sometimes. And then the Clive Barker book, that is interesting. I might. This seem interesting to me. Looking into the Clive Barker situation, the accusations of him, and they see here it doesn't overlook the negative criticism, right? Private life, health issues. Apparently, he had a sort of Me Too movement. Also, I don't know. I don't know the particulars. I don't even want to know. But it's very interesting to see that there must have been something that put him in the doghouse. Who knows? Who cares? And this guy here, Matt Cardin. I always meant to get the book of horror he wrote. Apparently, he's kind of like in the Ligotti vein, but more of a theological horror, right? What the Daemon said. Right? All you Nietzscheans, what did the Daemon say? What did he say when they called his, what was it? Socrates Daemon? Or was it Aristotle? Oh, shit, I forgot. I can't believe I forgot that. The Daemon said, it would have been better never to have been. And I'm afraid, so I think I'll check this guy's horror out. Philosophy, horror, theologian, right? He's definitely in a pessimistic vein, which is what horror is. Horror is not a safe space, and horror is definitely not progressive. It is literally pre-human law, fear of the predator, amongst other things, and then fear of, when you have a brain that can be self-aware, fear of death, and then also just fear of existence. Heavy. Feeling it. Not too much left here. So, look at this. The FC Suns, look at this. Hipster beer, look, Chronicle Brewing Company. Product available to Ontario residents only. So they're not only holding the people hostage there, they're holding the beer hostage. So there's Dungeon Crawler Session Oatmeal Stout. That actually looks cool. I like they got the graphics there, but hey, less hipster beer, here, and it must be 19. That's right, 19 years old. You can drink beer in Canada, but I'll never be able to enjoy this. So DFC Suns, I'm sorry, man. Maybe you could enjoy it. That Dungeon Crawl looks hot though. I like that. Anyway, enough. Went off. Oh, this guy now he's getting in for abuse too. Except his crime is that he was apparently an asshole. Last I checked, if that's a crime, then you just gotta lock up 2/3 of the people out there. But it doesn't. It's fine. So negation.